Coach, getting the chance to look back at the game this past weekend, what are some of your takeaways? What are kind of things you want to focus on for next week?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, you look back at it, we had 11 penalties for 125. 10 of those were in the first three quarters, most in the first half, which I think contributed to a lot of our offensive woes. There was never any rhythm. We'd do something, we'd go one step forward, two steps back, always behind the chains, all third and longs. So we just never really got moving in the first half. Second half, we played pretty good on offense. Went right down and got points, moved the ball even in the drives. We didn't quite get it. Scored 19 points or set basically 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I think, on 5 drives in the second half. So we started playing SMU football towards the end. I think we had 200 yards to their 50 in the fourth quarter. We had 1 penalty. There's a lot to do with that. Defensively, I thought we played hard. Thought we ran to the ball well. At times we didn't leverage and stop the run like we want to. It's hard when everything's quarterback plus 1 runs. But still, their average per rush was low. I think, we kept them except for 2 big plays from being too explosive in the passing game. So, you do things like the penalties. You have a snap go through your punter's hands and give them a free touchdown, basically. I mean, you do those things. It's a recipe to get beat. And so we didn't play very well at all first half. There's just no getting around it. We started to play SMU football towards the end, and that needs to continue into this week.
You mentioned,
What goes into making sure that you carry over that second half and no one reverts back to it?
Yeah, go to work. There's no secret formula. We get up, we practice. We came in on Sunday and did what we do. We came in yesterday, installed the game plan. We had a good physical Tuesday practice this morning. There's no excuse. We didn't play well, but first games are tough. I think last year Kansas won 9 games. They went on the road there as a 28-point favorite and won by 7. Would have been the exact same score if we'd got the 2-point conversion. We won. It's hard to win. We didn't necessarily play our best for a good half of the game, but I think our guys know what it takes to be a good team. I think they feel like we can be a good team. We got to go prove that we can consistently do it for 4 quarters, but there's no panic button being pushed here. Like I said, we're 1-0.
you mentioned stopping the run, and I think in the first half you gave up a little over 100 yards. Second half it was like 30 or something.
Mm-hmm.
What adjustments did you see or were there any specific adjustments that you think worked better in the second half?
Yeah, I think we just settled down. I think we were pressing across the board as a team in the first half, whether it be the play calls, whether it be the way we were playing. There is a factor. Sometimes you're too excited to play, and so you kind of play emotional and hesitant, and in your body you don't cut it loose. And, we gave up some big runs on some QB draws on third and long and stuff like that. Again, we did a better job of spilling things, containing the edges of the defense, and swarming to the ball. Again, our offense moved the ball better, so we controlled it. I mean, the time of possession was like 36-23, and that's with us winning the fourth quarter. It was hard. We were out there a lot, and a lot of it was self-inflicted. But like I said, I just think we settled down at halftime, came out, played SMU football. I think had we not had the issue on the 4th and 30 that gave them a free first down and a long drive, the second half might have even felt entirely like the fourth quarter.
I guess just speaking of that, have you been able to find film of that whole scenario with Cross?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's over. It is what it is. I don't feel like there's any evidence that he misrepresented our program in that moment. The call was made. We respect it. I think everyone does a good job. We're moving forward. Look, the penalties are not good. We have to handle our emotion better regardless of what someone does to you. You can't put yourself in a position to cost a team like that, and he knows that. And same thing with other scenarios when guys maybe retaliated and got a 15-yard penalty. You can't do that. And look, we allowed them to get us, emotionally unstable in some of those situations in the game, and it cost us. And it could have easily and very well cost us the game. But I've looked at it, and we feel like we're all in a good position moving forward. And I think he knows he hurt the team, but also I don't know if it went down exactly as it said it was.
SMU fans got to see Brashard Smith for the first time, but what did you learn about the running game as a whole in week 0?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little deceptive. We ran for almost 140-plus yards. I mean, we lost all the yards on the punt snafu. So for the game, we still averaged over 4 yards a carry. You'd like to be closer to 5. Brashard himself was 6 yards a carry. It wasn't explosive ever. They did a nice job the way they were playing. That they would rally and we'd get 4, 5, 6 yards. So it needs to be better. It needs to be more explosive, especially when they're playing pass and we're not maybe being as explosive as we'd like to be. It's a work in progress. We had a lot of guys playing on the line in different spots where maybe a couple plays we were just a hair off from making it a bigger play. So hopefully we'll continue to get better at that. I do think that the really good sign is that that drive late, I think we got the ball, it was like 3rd and 1 on like the 32 or 3, and we ran it 3 straight plays for a touchdown. That's the explosiveness that we need in our run game more often.
The team depth was obviously a big conversation this offseason. Did you feel like you got to see enough of everyone, or just kind of because of the
Yeah.
nature of the game that you need to cycle?
Probably in some positions, yes. In some positions, no. I mean, like, I think the depth helped us. I mean, we won the 4th quarter and we finished, and that was really important. So we were fresh. I think you look at the team depth helped us in places like R.J. Maryland. He had a big game. He only played 38 plays because Matt Hidmer played 34. Stone Eby played 10. Like in the past, R.J. would have played 60, 70 plays. I don't know how much he'd have left in the tank in that 4th quarter, but he was fresh, and those other guys made plays. And then there's other areas that maybe guys didn't get in as much as we had hoped. And sometimes when the game goes the way it did, that happens. But we'll continue to play the guys that deserve to play, and hopefully that's a lot because we're going to need that depth.
Oh, you talked about using Kevin early in the first quarter.
Yep.
What did you see from the little bit he got, and just what went into the decision to go with Preston the rest of the way?
Yeah. We followed our plan going into the game. Preston was going to start, go the first 2 drives. Kevin knew he was going to play the 3rd and the 4th series, so that was how we went into the game. Thought he did really well, including even the 2nd series, taking us on a touchdown drive. We went back to Preston. That was always the plan. You know, we told both those guys, no matter what happens in those drives, that's what we're going to do, because you don't want them out there pressing and going, man, I got to score. I'm not going back. Like, go play. Did intend to play Kevin more, and, you know, the game went the way it did, and, you know, there's a lot of people can say what they want. We won, so feel good about what happened. But Kevin did really well, which you expected him to, and he earned the right to continue to play and hopefully play even more. So I suspect you'll see more of him this week. And that's not a slight to anybody. That's a compliment to him.
And is that important? You mentioned it a little bit, but important for them to kind of have an idea of when that's going to happen. So like you said, there's not that kind of looking over my shoulder or pressing.
I think so. As a quarterback, like, it's hard if you know, hey, you're going to go this series. Well, the one series, you know, sometimes the series doesn't go well, and it's not your fault. Like, you want them to get in a rhythm as much as they can, and that's the challenge with playing 2 guys. At the same time, if you don't know, say, hey, you're going to play, but you don't tell them when, then either he doesn't know when to expect it, and sometimes the situation dictates it and you don't do it. So by telling them, it helps us do it. And so, yeah, I think that's the best way. At least we're taking it week to week, but right now.
A lot of the focus has been on the fact you're playing an ACC schedule this year, but after this week, it's all power conference from here on out. What do you need to see against an opponent like Houston Christian to kind of get you ready for all those power conference teams?
Well, we need to win. That's all we're worried about. Last week probably teaches everybody that. And we need to play 4 good quarters of football. You know, first game of the season, they're always crazy and weird. They just are. Sometimes it goes the way you want, like it has for us the last 2 years. Sometimes it goes like it did Saturday night, but we won. But now we have to start to see that consistency of performance. You know, we did play some guys in some different spots. In some places we feel like that's best. In some places we're going to move some guys around. I do think we feel like on both sides of the ball, now that we've had, you know, summer, fall camp, and an actual game in an adverse situation, we know, 1, how our team will respond. We just don't need to put ourselves in those positions anymore when we have to. And 2, I think we know where all the pieces need to go, that not only this week but over the coming weeks, it's the best fit for our team, whether it be O-line, wideout, D-line, DB. And so I just want to see us play harder and start better, obviously. You know, last year we were a great first quarter team. The other night we were a terrible first quarter team. So hopefully we can start faster and continue to finish the way we did.
What are you looking at with Houston Christian? Obviously a program coming off one of the best seasons I think they've had. And
Yeah.
still pretty good coaching staff. What do you know about that?
Yeah, well, you know, Jason's taken over as head coach. Phenomenal job with the offense. They had their winning season last year. So explosive. They spread the field. They can play fast. They can throw it. They can run it. They do a nice job offensively. I think they got a new defensive coordinator. He's one of the best defensive minds coming from our state. You know, it's 2 weeks in a row that we don't have any game film on our opponent, and they have tons of film on us. That's part of it. Usually you play 1 game a year like that. We're playing 2. And so I think we have to be ready to adjust. I mean, we have an idea what they're going to do offensively. We have an idea on defense, but they got a new DC, and they've had all offseason. So, I mean, you have no idea what you're going to get defensively. So you plan the best you can, but you got to be ready to adjust in game. And I think they're going to be well coached. They're going to be excited to play. It's their first game. And then hopefully we can make a big jump from game 1 to game 2.
Do you have any injury updates?
Any injury updates? We did not have any major injuries in the game. So, Andrew Chambly is almost day-to-day, week-to-week right now. I don't know yet if he's available this week, but I can't rule him out. My hope would be that he could dress and be available. He did more in practice today than he did all of last week. So that's a hope, I think. Other than that, I mean, we got some guys just nicked and banged up and some bruises, but we came out of the game long-term in pretty good shape, and I don't think anybody other than potentially Chambly that was out is back. So,
Just your thoughts on how the first game of in-helmet communication went on both sides of the ball.
yeah, I think it's an adjustment. Offensively, other than the fact that the first 3 plays I didn't even use it because, like, 1, you've never had it, and 2, in practice, she's talking to a walkie, and on game, you got to push a button. I think it was the 3rd play. Preston screamed from the field, "I can't hear you." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll fix it." I just need to hit the button, So there's a reason he wasn't hearing me. I was calling plays like I've done for 15 years, I don't usually have to use my hands. But I think it was good. There was once or twice that it kind of stalled out for a play or two, but nothing major. He may have a different opinion. You can ask him. I think defensively it's a different adjustment. I think because defenses have to react to the offense. So if the offense is going fast, they got to get a call in, and sometimes it doesn't matter if you got a helmet and 1 guy. There's still 10 other guys out there, right? And then offenses are smart. We do it some now too when you're not going like huddle up, and defensive coordinators can't see the picture to call their defense on. That's what they like to do now. That's how they've adjusted to teams that spread the field no huddle like us. They see the formation and call their defense based off tendencies and formations. So if you're not going fast, you give a defensive coordinator an advantage. But also if you huddle and bust out and snap it, somewhat old school, you kind of mess with them now because they've adapted. And so I think our defense probably learned a lot. I think they'll adjust. I think it was probably a bigger challenge for them than it was for us offensively. And then hopefully we'll just get better and better. But I did like the idea, like especially those last 2 drives late in the game, I was able to call the play and then just give Preston like a thought. So he and I were on the same page on that last drive, and I think it helped.
Obviously, you had the botch snap on the punt. What were your thoughts overall on the special teams and kind of how you were able to rotate personnel?
That one play was really, really bad, and but other than that, I thought we played well on special teams. I think we dominated on kickoff coverage. We tackled them inside the 20 a few times, and then they had the misstep where they stepped out on the 2. Kickoff return, we got the ball at midfield twice. That's big time. We didn't get a chance for a return, but we also, we had one I think we could have blocked. We just missed. I thought our punt return unit was good. Like I said, I think punt team, other than the one play, they were solid. We probably got to finish the tackle a little bit better. We gave them like a 10-yard return a couple times, but we were running down there playing hard. We protected well. We just can't have a high snap and let it go through our hands and give somebody free points. And then we did miss a 51-yard field goal, which was unfortunate, but we also made a 52 and a 35. So, and our protection was good. So I think we were a lot better than we were in the areas we needed to be, but the one glaring issue is a really big one.
You mentioned their new defensive coordinator coming from a D3 school. Batchel's not far removed from being a head coach at a D3 school. How kind of cool is to see that from especially Texas to see that talent and them getting their shots?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what level of ball you're coaching. I mean, the high school coaches in Texas are better than half the college coaches in the country. They just need the opportunity. And, those guys have done a great job everywhere they've been, and that's why they're continuing to move up. And I think that's why Houston Christian's going to be a really good program. I think they're going to compete really well in their league this year and into the future. And I think you'll continue to see both those guys continue to rise. But you can tell if a guy can coach. You look at his history; he's won everywhere he's been, whether it be high school and other colleges. But it is cool. Texas coaches doing well. Like I said, other than when we got to play them like this, we're always pulling for our teams in the state. Awesome. Nice to be inside. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.